this content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill no one.
Wait a second.
Oh, no.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin versus the World. I'm SeptumSin. Today we are on part 5 of our Stroll series. It seems like just yesterday that we started this, and maybe could have been yesterday for all I know. But we are really getting into gear. I am on the last row of the previously viewed, or at least the ones that I viewed for the Criterion. Of course, there's a bunch of unopened ones, so I may be backtracking in the future. But I do have my next 10 titles right here. We're going to start with a really good one here. We have The Last Emperor. Now, this was an amazing film about pretty much the last emperor of China. And it's just it's hard to really explain, but this is a Blu-ray title. The set design, the costumes, everything is so amazing. But this is needed. You kind of get some insight into the Forbidden City, and just in general, something that really is different with the communist rule over China. So let's talk about what's on here. Of course, you've got the restored visuals, audio commentary from director Bernardo Bertolucci, producer Jeremy Thomas, screenwriter Mark Peplow, and composer/actor Ryuichi Sakamoto. The Italian Traveler, Bernardo Bertolucci, a 53-minute film by Ferdinand Moskowitz, tracing the director's geographic influences from Parma to China. Video images taken by Bertolucci while on production in China. The Chinese Adventures of Bernardo Bertolucci, a 51-minute film about the creation of the film. 45-minute documentary featuring Storaro, editor Gabriella Cristiani, costume designer James Aixon, and art director Gianni Silveresti. Our 66-minute documentary exploring Bertolucci's creative process in making The Last Emperor. 30-minute BBC interview from Bertolucci in 1989. Interview in 2008 with the composer. A 2008 interview with the cultural historian Ian Buruma, examining the period of the film, theatrical trailer, and of course, the booklet with an essay. This is what Criterion should be. I mean, you saw all of that. This is what a Criterion Collection movie should be. I'm glad to have it, and this is, if only all the others were as awesome as this edition. Well, there's an inevitability with Criterion when it comes to some directors. Because there are some directors that eventually all their films are going to be on Criterion. That's just as they love these directors. One of them is Wes Anderson, and this is The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. A movie, basically it's a comedy with Bill Murray being a Jacques Cousteau type. For those of you who aren't familiar with Cousteau, he was really big in my earlier years. He tended to be an oceanographer. He was a conservationist, and this kind of plays on that fact. I was not a huge fan of this film, I'll admit. I didn't find it all that funny, to tell you the truth, but I need to watch it again. Maybe when I watch it again, it'll look better. See, it's one of the reasons why sometimes slipcovers are important, because you can see quite the difference in the art. Oop, this one has little snapper things. So, start off with just showing the booklet with the essay. Which folds out like this, which is kind of cool. You get to see his whole ship. A little map and planning of all the ship. We can get to go together again. Maybe that way? Oh, yeah, that way. So this one's kind of got a double there, so you can see the artwork there. Artwork there for the other disc. This is a DVD set, which has, of course, updated visuals and soundtrack. Commentary by Wes Anderson and Noah Baumbach. This is an adventure documentary by Antonio Ferreira, chronicling the production. Mondo Monda, an Italian talk show featuring an interview with Wes Anderson and Noah Baumbach. New video interview with composer and Devo member Mark Mothersbaugh. 10 complete video performances of David Bowie songs in Portuguese by Brazilian recording artist and actor Zissou Jorg. Intern video journal by actor and real-life intern Matthew Gray Gubler, known as Intern Number 1. Multiple interviews with cast and crew. Stars on set, behind-the-scenes featurette, 10 deleted scenes, behind-the-scenes photos, theatrical trailer, and, of course, the essay. So, I find it interesting that this one, and Jake has talked about this before, it released pretty quick on the heels of this movie. I think this was probably one of the first home video releases. And look at all of the special features on there. Look at all that. There's no excuse with some of these. So, let's talk about one I did for movies, Inside Movies Galore. I was looking for an excuse to get it because it looked cool. And then the movie itself came up as a movie that we were going to have to watch for the program. So I went ahead and got The Lure. Okay, that is a cat there. See? Right there. Of course, there. I thought it had some... No, there's no artwork in it. So, there's the disc. Not huge art on there, but you got some artwork there. I mean, this is... The Lure is just a really dark Little Mermaid telling, which Little Mermaid is a very dark tale, so probably more realistic. This ain't your Ariel and Disney fare here. Of course, there is a program about the making of the film, with interviews with the director and the actors, and the screenwriter. So, deleted scenes, Aria Diva and Viva Maria, 2 short films by this particular director. A trailer, and a new translation along with the essay, which is pretty cool. Again, so far we're doing pretty good on special features here. It's not as heavy as the other 2, but still. This next one is a huge one. If we ever do a silent film month on Inside Movies Galore, this will have to be amongst those films. And that is Fritz Lang's thriller, M. You can tell this is one of the older releases on DVD because of just how they've got it set up. 8.5, if you remember, was like that also. This is the booklet. Now, hey, this is a tale about a murderer and a lot of the psychology behind the murderer, as well as, preventing further murders. 2004. So, so earlier being, it depends on how much you consider 2004. That was 16 years ago, so... So there's one of the discs there. I like that work there. And of course this one. This artwork here. So on disc 1 you got, of course, the restoration, audio commentary by scholars Anton Case, author of BFI Film Classics Volume on M. New and improved English subtitle translation. Of course, your essay. Then on the other disc, a conversation with Fritz Lang, a 50-minute film by William Friedkin, which would be pretty cool because, he's no longer with us. Claude Chabrol's Melamodit, a short film inspired by M. Plus an interview with an interview about Lang's filmmaking technique. Classroom tapes of M, editor Paul Falkenberg. Interview with Harold Nebenzal, the son of M, producer Seymour Nebenzal. A physical history of M. Stills gallery with behind-the-scenes photos and production sketches by art director Emil Hassler. So, really good film. Well worth watching. Silent film, but still, sometimes silent film can be quite riveting. Alright, so, Chaplin has most of his films on Criterion these days. And here's another one. Not City Lights. We covered that this last week. Modern Times. So Modern Times is one where he was transitioning to the talkies. I'm just looking to see if there's anything worthwhile in the background, because you can just see kind of a cityscape going. This is the booklet. So you had a little bit more talking going on. Chaplin was still doing a lot of his shtick. As you can see. Kind of a clockwork, almost steampunk type future. So can restorations, new audio commentary by Chaplin biographer David Robinson, 2 new visual essays, new program on films, visual and sound effects with experts Craig Barron and Ben Burt, interview from 1992 with Modern Times music arranger David Raxon. Let's see, 2 segments cut from the film. All at Sea, a home movie by Alistair Cook featuring Chaplin and actress Paulette Goddard, with a new score by Donald Suzanne and a new interview with Cook's daughter Susan Cook Kittredge. The Rink, 1916, a Chaplin 2-reeler. And for the first time, a 1967 short Cuban documentary about first-time moviegoers seeing Modern Times. Chaplin's Today, Modern Times, a program with filmmaker Jean-Pierre Luc Dardenne, 3 theatrical trailers, and of course our nice little booklet. So, quite the thing. They like to put a lot of good stuff on there. Now, one that I had to get when I heard it was coming out, a major priority, which you could get this film really cheaply almost in any other format, but I wanted it on Criterion, and that is Night of the Living Dead, the original. I mean, it's open source. If you are watching a movie and they are watching some sort of horror movie, it is likely this film. Because they seem to excerpt it all the darn time. It is the original zombie film, essentially. And, I think almost everybody is familiar with Night of the Living Dead. I don't have to expound on that. So you got your essay on the back, but you also have this lovely poster here. Of course, I love this as well. That is cool. There's no real artwork on the back of this, but I thought I would show off the disc. The 2-disc collection. Let me see if I can stick this back in here. I'm sure it's supposed to be like that. It's cool to have like this good a version of it. I used to have like one that was stuck on with like 5 or 6 other films, so I'm just kind of glad to have it in this version. Because Blu-ray, it's cleaned up as good as you can get it. 4K restoration. Even the soundtrack. You have a Night of Anubis, a never-before-presented work print edit of the film. New program featuring filmmakers Frank Darabont, Guillermo del Toro, and Robert Rodriguez. Never-before-seen 16mm dailies. New program featuring Crusoe on the commercial and industrial film production company where the key Night of the Living Dead filmmakers got their start. 2 audio commentaries from 1994. Archival interviews. New programs about the film's style and score. New interview programs about the director of Ghouls featuring a member of the cast. New interviews with Gary Striner and Russell Striner. Newsreels from 1967. Trailers, radio spots, and TV spots. Plus the epic essay. This is actually, it's kind of sad that George A. Romero has passed. He didn't pass that long ago. But I think he did live to see this coming to Criterion. To me, Criterion is all about filmmaking. As a film collector, it's awesome because you get to learn as much about the filmmaking process as possible. But if you're a filmmaker, having a good Criterion collection, in my opinion, is probably key because you can get insight into the filmmaking that you can't really get anywhere else, which is pretty cool. So, seems like we're on a old film kick because we're talking about the 1921 film, The Phantom Carriage. Now, I got this because, I like ghost stories and it just kind of looked cool. So, the idea is, essentially it's about death, because death rides his carriage, and on New Year's Eve, the last person to die of that year has to become death and take the mantle for a year before they can truly pass on. And that's essentially about that transition from the old death to the new. It's a really cool Swedish film. It's a silent film, but it really is awesome in its own way. So this one, again, pretty plain black and kind of greenish gray background. You can see a little bit of the artwork there. So in this book, not a lot, but you got your essays, and it's not too bad a book. So this one has, of course, the restorations. 2 scores, one by Swedish composer Matty Bai and the other by experimental duo KTL. Audio commentary by historian Casper Tybjerg. Interview with Ingmar Bergman, excerpted from a 1981 documentary, Victor Sjöström, a portrait by Gösta Werner. The Bergman Connection, an original visual essay by the film historian and Bergman scholar Peter Coe. Footage of the construction of the Rosunda studio where Phantom Carriage was put into production. And of course, a new and improved translation, and of course your booklet. So again, some inspiration for Bergman in this film. Alright, this one has more of a personal connection, and that is The Princess Bride. It's got a nice little rough book cover. I don't kind of like how it bends here, but still, I do like how it is essentially a book. It's a digibook. And of course, you've got our here. That's not like you can hear how it creaks with the spine. This one will not hold up very well over time. But The Princess Bride is another one that most everybody knows. Any 80s kid knows it. There's just no doubt. But it's a film, it's a fantasy film about true love and just as a fun action-adventure film. So in this one, again, restoration, audio commentary from '96 featuring Rob Reiner and William Goldman. Edited 1987 audiobook reading from Goldman's novel, which is the original Princess Bride. New program about Goldman's screenplay. New program about Goldman's Tapestry based on his novel. Archival interviews with Reiner, Goldman, and authors Crystal, Carrie Elby, Christopher Guest, and a whole bunch of others. Programs about makeup, fencing, and fairy tales. On-set video diary, filmed and narrated. 5 behind-the-scenes videos with commentaries from '96. Trailer. Plus, of course, you gotta have your essay. Alright. This next film is a Roman Polanski film. Not the best person in the world, but the films he makes are very, very good. This was before that particular occasion, but that is Repulsion. There is something about Polanski and madness that goes along. Maybe it's because he himself is a trifle mad, but it does do a chilling illustration of psychosis. And I am one who is very much into films relating to mental illness. You can see the kind of cracking in the foundation based on the film and how this, you can see the cover, you can see the main actress was going through all of that. It's a very well done piece. I don't encourage support necessarily of him, but the film itself, much like, say, Rosemary's Baby, it is a very well done piece of work. So, new restored, of course, audio commentary by Polanski and actress Catherine Deneuve. British horror film, 2003, a documentary on making of Repulsion. 1964 French television documentary, filmed on the set. And original trailers. And of course our booklet. Alright, very good. One more. This one I got because I had seen the film before, and this one is just an odd one to have. Occasionally, Criterion just takes an oddball film. We already discussed House, and now we're going to discuss Robinson Crusoe on Mars. Yeah. Essentially, it is as it states, about a guy who goes to Mars and learns to live there with an ape, and just various. It's just a very entertaining film. I'll give it that, but I'm not sure if it's the best film, but it certainly is interesting. Because water is where you'll find it. Yeah, the booklet is kind of cool. My father used to love this film. And that was even more reasons why I was like... Because I knew it. It's very campy. Very campy. You really can't take this very seriously, but... Yeah. Well, that's everything. I didn't go over the special features on this. See, now with Repulsion, it didn't have a lot of them. I think that there should be more if you're doing a Criterion. I mean, we've talked about all the special features in all these other ones. And this one, of course, you got your audio commentaries, excerpts from the original screenplay, Destination Mars, a new video featurette, for the science behind the movie. What science? They had rocks they were using to make fire with. Not like this, but literally they could set the rocks on fire and make oxygen. Okay. New music video for Ludden's song Robinson Crusoe and Mars, Stills Gallery, theatrical trailer, and booklet. Again, not a ton, but I'm guessing they just couldn't find a lot. The fact that they got a documentary at all, that tells me something. So, just an interesting thing to see. Alright, well, that's it for this week's Stroll. Stay tuned next week as we continue our anime stroll with Part 5. This has been SeptumSin, and if you have enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, comment, and share. And we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Goodbye.